next in the series, we are going to be doing a graduated bob. And can I just say, if you have been with us through this whole series, kudos to you, my friend. My goodness, you're really taking your career into your own hands and you are learning. It's kind of hard and exhausting to learn, but these foundational haircuts will be incredible for your confidence behind the chair. I spent my whole career just doing these 5, 6 haircuts, but you just build upon them because they're really just foundational skills. And then when you get that aha light bulb moment and say, oh, that's why the hair is doing that, because you've learned these haircuts, then you can take that skill set and you can build upon it. So we've got our doll head, and yes, it's the same exact doll head we've been doing all of our haircuts on. The one length, the long layers, the bob, the square layers, and now we're going to do a graduated bob. Next we'll be doing the pixie. So I'm just showing you that you could use one doll head to do all these haircuts. You do not have to go out and buy 6 different doll heads to do this. All right, graduated bob. Let's look at our sectioning. This is same 4 sections. We've got our doll, 4 sections, okay? Our very first thing that we're going to do is we are going to section from the O-bone to the back of the ear, O-bone to the back of the ear. We are going to be working in this section first, and this is going to determine our length for our bob. Take a look at your person, see where you want that to lay, kind of put your comb where you're wanting it to lay at the front, and use that angle. I typically use the angle of their jawline. I think it looks really, really good on a person. You can't go wrong. So like this baby doll, this jawline, I would just put my comb there and then drag it down, and it's going to look beautiful. Everybody's got a different angle to them. So don't just say it's a 45-degree angle, because that doesn't cut it all the time. Everybody's different. You have to approach the skill set the same. However, you have to customize it to every single head that sits down in your chair. So that's what we're learning today. Jawline, take your comb, find that angle. Where do you want that to sit? Where do you want it to hit? You know, how long does she want it in the front? Because this is going to be an angled haircut. So if she wants it angled right here, for instance, then you know that you have to cut that neck area to about this length, okay? And then everything will start making sense. It will. I'll show you how it makes sense. First, we're going to section, and then I will show you how we do it when we're doing it. So I have prepped my doll head with some light gel. So I'm using it as a cutting lotion, so that way my sectioning will stay where I want it to stay. I'll get nice clean partings. We've done that in every video. So I am going to find her O-bone, and I am going to part it to right behind the ear. Again, place your thumb where you want your comb to follow. Actually, I'm going to show you a trick here, okay? First trick, because this is a haircut that scares a lot of people. So say I want her, want to follow her jawline, right, with my comb, like I just had talked to you about. So that's kind of how you want to angle your angle back here. So let me first do this O-bone to right behind the ear, because that's just a typical way of parting it. Now, this angle right here that I just parted, right? I've already checked. It's all even, like we have to check. But this angle right here, if we bring our comb around, does it look good with her jawline? I think so. But then where do we want that to live? I want it to live about there. Hey, truth, I might want it to live it a little bit longer, because guess what? I still have to do a pixie on this doll head. So my links are a little bit longer than maybe you might take yours. So I'm going to take it to about here. So I know I'm going to have to leave a little bit at her neckline. That's how we're judging this. So if you remember our partings, we're first going to take our middle section down the middle, establish where we want that, and then we're going to tie everything together. You'll see that. You'll notice that in just a second how I'm doing that. And I'm using my shears that I have been using because I use these on my doll head. My tip to you is when you do shorter haircuts, get shorter shears. So maybe a 5.5 inch shear to cut shorter haircuts, because you get a little bit more control because you're so much closer to the head. The bigger the shear is for the longer haircuts, so it really takes a lot more cutting space. But when you're so close to their ears and their neck and all that, sometimes just having a smaller shear really makes all the difference. I'm going to lean her forward just so I can get close to her neck. And I'm going to take just a 1-inch section down the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my knuckle 3/4 inch past her neckline, and then I'm going to hold that hair in there. Yeah. If you can't do that, or if that doesn't make sense to you, just comb it out and put your comb there where you want that to be. If that doesn't make sense, just target it. Just make it target. But I'm holding it at about a 45-degree angle. See my fingers? I'm going in underneath and holding it this way. I'm going to be cutting what they call palm to palm, which means my palm is palm to palm. And I'm holding it directly out, and I'm going to cut it at a 45-degree angle. Okay, don't cut past that first knuckle or you will cut yourself. How many of us have done that? Always, always. Mine's going to be a little bit longer. Okay, that's what that looks like. Now, what would it look like if you held it out like Denise? I can't get that. I don't understand how to do that. Well, practice. Say I went in there the old-fashioned way. See how I can't get in there? I can't get my fingers in there. I mean, I can't. It's almost impossible. So you really do have to go in here just like this, hold it at an angle. I think I might want to angle this a little bit more, and I'm just point cutting that angle off, okay? That's your first piece. You with me? Okay, we're going to be doing the same technique when we do a pixie, so it's worth practicing. Maybe leave your little girl longer so you can practice a few times. So whatever side you want to start on, what we're going to do is take a little bit from the area we just cut, and then we're going to angle our section, and it's going to look like a little pie slice, kind of angled. And again, we're going under there. Sometimes I like to point cut just because, well, these shears are too big for this haircut, but just because sometimes it's just safer. Safer on not only your skin, but the haircut, softer. I'm point cutting it so you could see it, so I'm not standing in the way, because if I was truly doing this, I would be over like this and you wouldn't be able to see what I was doing. So take a little bit of that one, take a little bit more over here. You're going to comb underneath and bring it towards that area. Now I could see, and I could kind of get my hands in there. See that? I see that. Now make sure that you're pointing your fingers at a 45-degree angle. That's where a lot of people make the mistake. That's where it gets kind of bulky behind the ears. And don't worry about this line quite yet, okay? Because we're going to come back and clean that up. And then this last one is we're going to take the whole thing. And again, okay? And I'm pointing it where I want it to go. If you want to check this, which you will need to check this, you can take cross-checking is what this is called. You can take a parting right here on top. Hold this all out at a 45-degree angle or whatever angle that is. And all of this should be the same length. That's how you're going to know. Okay. I have a couple hairs I missed. So, okay. Now we're going to do this side. I know this one's a hard one. It's kind of hard to teach too because it's almost like you have to practice it a lot and get the feel for it a lot. All right. Can you see this? So we've got our middle section here. We're going to take a section right to the side, a little bit in the middle, holding that, pushing it kind of towards the new section. We have our guide underneath. See it? See it? That's going to start us out. Did you see what I just did? I went like this. Don't do that. It just hurt my wrist. You got to protect that body. We want a long career, right? Okay. Another little thing. Make sure that your sections are nice and clean. You're not just pulling up and going to town here. Now our last piece. See it under there? Palm to palm. I remember when I was learning palm to palm, I didn't know what they were talking about. I really didn't. I was like, I don't get it. What's this palm to palm thing? It really is. You're cutting. Think about it. Your palms are close together because typically we're like this, right? And our palms are on the same, laying on the same side because we're cutting like this. But this is palm to palm. Okay, we're going to check that by just taking the top half, top little section, holding it out like 45, seeing if it, ooh, this one I got a little bit long. That's where you're going to clean it up though. That's where you're going to make sure it's all even. Right here in the middle, it should be a point. It is. Yay. I'm just going to point cut that because I don't like my point. Because typically what happens, it gets really bulky back here. So this is your first section. It should be done. To check this, you want to make sure that you're pulling the top over here, the top corner over here, hold them out. Make sure that they're the same length. They should be the same length. Don't approach this haircut any further until you know that this section is evenly cut on both sides and that you've checked it to make sure that it is even. Let me know if you need just a video just on this. Another video I did, I'll have to link it up top, but it was on how to do this. The back of the nape area. It might look better because it was on a different, it was actually on my sister. It wasn't on this dark hair, and you might be able to see it a little bit better. All right, so now we have this neckline. It's like, ooh, what do you do with that, right? You could either wait till the very end, which is perfectly a-okay, or you can clean it up here. And how you could do that is you could go straight across with your shears. You can use a razor, you can point cut, whatever you want this to look like. If you want a really soft neckline, then maybe you want to go in there and personalize it with your razor or texturizing shears, or like really point cut and etch it out, whatever you want to do. But we'll wait and do that later, okay? Or we might just leave it as is because we don't really care. Got this part? Okay, let's move to the next part. Okay, here's our next section. We are just going to go up the curve of the head, and how you find that is you take your comb and you rock it up, and where it touches base again, that's the next curve of the head. You're going to section it the same angle you want as her jawline, right? Section it behind the ear, section it behind the ear. This is going to start our bob. Basically, a graduated bob is you stack it up, and then this is now your perimeter line. And so what we're going to do is bring this down, and our perimeter line starts here. Here's what we're going to do. Set this little girl up so you can see your angles. We are going to start by going down the center of the head, and we are going to pull this out. And this so you can see it. Make sure it's good and moist. We're taking our guide from down below, and if you can't see your guide, then don't take so much hair. You'll need a smaller section if she's got really thick hair. Okay, we are combing from underneath, coming from up above, looking for our guide. It's under there, sliding out. It's under there. Holding our comb at a 45-degree angle. Okay, and my finger direction is actually pointing where I want the front of the hairstyle to be. Okay, and I'm cutting. Okay, and we start building that graduation. Doing it again. This time I'm taking it all. You can do this in 3 sections. You don't have to do it in just 2. Just make sure you get a camera angle that you could see, hopefully. I'm combing from underneath so I could see my guide. I'm holding it at a 45-degree angle. I'm pointing my fingers where I want that hair to end up. And really important is I'm going straight out from the part line. So it's almost like I'm holding this straight out like a T from the part line, perpendicular from the part line. So let me see if I could show you this. Okay, so see the part line? See how I'm holding it out? My fingers are following the part line. My fingers are parallel to the part line. That's going to keep you on track as well. All right? Look at that cute little thing. Isn't that cute? All right. Other side. Okay, I'm just going to split this in half. Get a little bit from the middle. Holding it at a 45-degree angle. Make sure you're getting all the hair combed in there. Make sure your shears are closed before you cut somebody's hair off. Have you ever done that? Have you been not palming your scissors correctly and they've been open like this and you're combing the hair and you've sliced somebody's hair off? Yeah, those are called invisible layers or unwanted layers or whatever. Holy cow, talk about a heart attack. Heart attack. It's happened to all of us. So if it's happened to you, do not feel bad, but it does make it so you always pay attention to the palming your shears so they stay closed. Sorry, I'm a little off base. Okay, got my guide underneath. I'm holding my fingers at a 45. I'm holding the hair out at a 45. This is all about angles, body position. I'm a little bit cockeyed because I'm trying to show you on the camera and it's really hard. I don't have anybody standing here holding the camera. It'd be different if somebody was filming me. I could really get, down and all that good stuff, but that's okay. If you're struggling with keeping this at a 45, make sure that you keep your elbows up. That'll help, because what happens is we get a little bit lazy and we get a little bit longer and it starts dragging down and we lose our shape. So elbows up, check for that, check underneath for your guide. 45, I think it's a little long. Okay, I think this side's a little long. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. Always, always, always check your length. Oh no, it's shorter on this side. Just by a hair, a hair. So make sure before you move forward, make sure you even that up. You don't want it to be longer on one side than the other. Now, you're gonna ask me, but I don't want it to look like there's a little bit of like a shelf here. That's okay. When we dry the hair, we're gonna fix all that, okay? We will soften that down and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, our next section is going to be from the parietal ridge all the way around to the parietal ridge. What we're gonna do is comb all this down and it's all gonna be at a 45-degree angle. Put your thumb at the parietal ridge and put your finger, curl your head, okay. Make sure those two little points meet or the same. Remember when I showed you? Stand in front of your mirror, blink, blink. Make sure your fingers line up. Yep. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. Again, start in the back, down the middle, bring it out, 45-degree angle. You see our guide under there. My fingers are pointing where I want it to go, but I'm holding the hair out 45-degree angle, okay? Coming back over here, and I'm holding it perpendicular to the part line. The closer I get to the ear, this is super, super important. The closer I get to this ear, here's the back of the ear, then my finger starts not going, it's not being held out at a 45 like this. I'm going to start laying it down a little bit closer to the head. I don't want this to be cut at a 45 near her jawline. So right at this transitional period, this mark, I'm going to start going from a 45-degree angle, holding it out at a 45 to closer to the head. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's almost like you have to practice it to believe it. Seriously, I know. All right, now I'm at the top of the ear. Top of the ear. Take a little bit from the back, a little bit from the front. You could do the same thing as we did in the bob, where if you feel like you need to loosen this up just a little bit, make sure you're bending your knees and getting under there, 45-degree angle, and then the front. No tension, no tension. 45-degree. Okay. So you can see where I'm holding it at a 45-degree angle here, I'm starting to drop it, and then I'm, okay, 45, 45, starting to drop, drop, drop. Okay, let's do the other side. You see how that works though? Kind of cute. Cute, cute, cute. Okay. Well, let's do the other side. Wet the hair a little bit. All right. Oh, oops. I was doing something else. I almost started doing a different haircut. All right. Holding it out, 45. My fingers are going down at a 45. And I don't know about you, but I'm always stronger on one side than I am the other. I don't know why. I feel like when I cut on the right side of the head, I always feel like I don't know, it just looks better. Looks better over there. I don't know why. I am pulling that hair up from underneath so I could see my guide. Okay, I'm going right behind the ear. So this is when I start bringing that angle down closer to her head. I'm still going at a 45-degree angle for her chin. Okay, got this little piece right above her ear. Remember how we did that? Loosen it up, loosen it up. That way you don't have a hole. And then comb this, no tension. Just set it down in your fingertips. And always check. And how did we do it before? We took a little bit, a little bit, and hold it down. Are your fingers the same? I don't think so. I think it's longer over here. Why is this happening? Just a smidge. All it is that little tiny corner. At least I feel like it. Okay? You got it? Okay, you can see that it's shaping up. It's shaping up. We just have 2 more sections. I think now, depends on how much hair you have, we might be able to drop all this down because remember we put layers in her with the square layers. Yeah, we could drop everything down. Now if her hair was thicker or she didn't have layers, you would want to do another section all the way around and drop that down and then drop the rest. But since she has layers in her hair, we're just going to go with it. Now this is real important to make sure that you're combing the hair where it lays. Anytime with a bob, and if she parts it on the side, you want to cut the bob to the side, okay? Because if not, when she goes to part it on the side, you're going to have long pieces on one side. But I'll show you how to not let that happen. Okay, got the same thing going on. Go down the middle in the back, hold it out at a 45. You see your guide under there. Cut it up. .45. Cut it off. Make sure you can see this. It's really hard to stand in correct body position and teach this haircut. Okay, this is when I'm getting closer down to the ear. Remember, I went from a 45 to now I'm not, no elevation down here. Make sure you loosen that up because we all tend to pull it too tight. Look at that little girl. Look at her. It's so cute. 45. 45. I think these shears just need to be tightened. They just keep popping out of position. Right behind the ear, I'm going to bring it down. We're not at a 45 anymore. We want it 0 elevation by the time we get to the ear. really hope this makes sense. You know how when you do something for so long that it's hard to teach it sometimes, like driving a car? It's like try to teach somebody how to drive a car. It's kind of hard to teach somebody how to drive a car, especially since you've been driving almost all your adult life, right? Because it just comes naturally to you. Well, sometimes that's how I feel with haircuts. It's like, how do I do that? Oh, yeah, that's how I do it. Because I just do it. Because that's how I want you to become, is we need to learn the foundation so that you don't have to think anymore. It's just like muscle memory and just knows what to do. And all you have to pay attention to then is head shape and facial features and bringing out the best and then finishing them really, really well and then educating your guests on how to make themselves look like what you just did. Yeah. Yeah, all that. Okay. We're done with the haircut. Oh, I forgot to check it. A little bit longer on this side. Why is that a little bit longer on that side? Girl. Nah. Yep, it's just that point. It's the point. I like the point, but I gotta cut that off. All right, we're done with the haircut. Now, the only thing I ask for you to do, really, before you blow dry it, is comb everything back. Everything back. This will save you when you're blow drying, and just see if there's anything that sticks out weird. Even if there is, point cut, point cut, point cut. Because you don't want anything to stick out weird. You really don't. And it shouldn't, if you got all your angles right. But sometimes when we have it a little bit longer in the front, then you go to brush it to the back, and these longer hairs will stick out back here. I really am not cutting that much off, see? But that'll save you. So now we're going to blow dry it. And then we're going to finish this just a little bit when it's dry. Because this is one of those haircuts that you probably want to go in and personalize just a little bit, because that really makes the haircut. And this is one of those haircuts when people walk out of the salon, you want people to turn around and go, wow, where did you get your haircut? Okay, let's blow dry and we'll be right back and I'll show you how to finish it off. Doesn't look bad. Remember, she had the square layers in there. So this girl's got some coarse hair going on. But with that said, if this was all one length, because we wouldn't have cut the layers in there, you would see a really solid kind of line here. But it still has that line going down. You still have a graduated bob happening. It just has some layers. And actually, most people want some layers in there because they want some movement. They want to be able to do stuff with it. So that's where you do this haircut and then you put square layers in. We just happened to do it backwards. It had square layers in it to begin with. All right, so let's walk through the blow dry a little bit. I blow dried the back with my fingers. Definitely go in there and really, you don't want this back up high. You don't want any volume back here. You want it to sit close to the neck. And so what I'm trying to do back there with my hands is to blow dry the shape of the neck. And if you need to part it to see it. But blow dry down in here from the elbow down, blow dry down. And then I started shaking it up a little bit, right? And I went in here and I shook it up in here a little bit, because what I'm trying to do is get that hard part out of there. So that way, when it's a real person, when you're done blow drying, you can spin her around in the mirror and you can play, and her hair will do all kinds of things, and you can find where you want it to lay. She does not do that because her hair does not cooperate like that, because it's like growing out of her head, split down the middle. It's kind of weird. You know, doll heads, they don't complain, but we sure complain about them. Blow dry there, blow dry here, parietal ridge up. All this you are blow drying down. I had to go and get a smaller round brush because this is a shorter haircut. My bigger round brush would not fit into this. It would be way too big. Okay, way too big. You should have a bunch of round brushes at many I think I have 6 sizes, so you should at least invest in those. If you need some, I do have my Amazon storefront that has all of these brushes linked in there. Go over there, get yourself some brushes, or buy one a month. My very favorite one is Bubba. You know, I've used it before, the 450 Cricut. I don't have it on. Oh yeah, I do. This one, Bubba. Anyway, okay. So blow drying, blow drying, blow drying. And then you get around to the face, and the same thing as we did with the bob. You don't want it out like this. You want it to live close to the head and be very sleek and very classy. Then when you get up to the round of the head up here, that's when you can start playing with some volume. Then again, I finished it off after I was done by just going through there and really using my hands and feeling, what am I feeling for? Cold spots. If there's any cold spots, that means it's not 100% dry. That means that your style is going to fall out. That means that she's going to go home and go, oh, I'm still wet on my neck. Nobody wants to feel that, okay? So here we go. So we've got our graduated bob. I told you I was going to show you some tips and tricks on, like, if you find yourself having a hard shelf line back here, what can you do to make that softer? Before I get to that, though, I want to just caution you on something. Make sure that you do not bring this up past the elbow. This. Okay? Don't make this all the way up here. When stylists are first starting out, they don't know where to stop. And so they just keep going up and up and up. And I have seen people that have their angle starting all the way up here and then it goes down sharp. That is not in. That does not look natural. That does not look believable. That does not look right. So caution yourself don't bring that angle up past the O bone. Just know that however you're angling your bob, even if you want it sharp, do not start your sharpness, your sharp angle past the O bone. It just won't lie right. It won't lay. Your hair won't lay right. It'll look weird, and your client will have a hard time feeling good about that. So your angle is going to start there, no matter what the angle is here, and then. But my suggestion is angle it with their jawline. Everybody's jawline is a little bit different, but angle it with their jawline, and you can't go wrong. Okay. So I was going to tell you about softening up this shelf. So if you find yourself with like a little hard line, my next series, I'm going to do it on blonde doll heads because it's really hard to see little minute things on brown hair. Either that or I'm going to highlight all the hair first. So what you want to do is lay your haircut wherever it is, and wherever you see like a little hard line, you're going to go in and take a vertical section. I'm just pinching it out there. Bring it straight out. And just like we did on that straight haircut, I'm just going to go in and soften that little tip up. You see it? Soften that. I'm not layering it. I'm not coming up here and taking that off. No, because you'll end up with something else and not what you're after. I am just going in and finding that little tiny peak right there, that little tiny corner, and I am just trying to get out of my way, taking that off. What that'll do is that'll soften it just enough that it'll blend right in. Again, I would probably, after I'm looking at this, I would go in and do something with this neckline. And you can take this neckline completely, and you could take your little peanut, your razor or your clippers, and take this neckline completely off if you wanted to. Nothing wrong with that. You're the creative artist. Or take your feather razor and razor it off, or just really blunt cut it off. Whatever you want to see. I would probably do it at more of an angle if I was going to blunt cut it off. You can get real creative. You can make it come in depending on their hairline. You know, we've had hairlines that kind of grow all over the place. Follow the hairline. Maybe they want to swirl it in and it has a little tiny peak back here. Maybe that's what you do. It's up to you. This is the graduated bob. This will get you through. This is a killer. This one you have to practice and practice and practice and rewatch the video. Ask questions. If you do have questions, contact me. I'll walk you through. We can get on a video chat, whatever you need to do. I want you to know the foundational haircut. It'll get you through. Make sure you stick around, you subscribe, you like, so you get the notification when our next video is out. It's going to be the pixie cut. You will definitely want this in your back pocket. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, as always, when you know better, you do better.